Well, my friend, I have one more little bonus for you. This is a deep dive that is all about the book Just Do This, which the link will be in the description, whatever you call that area. But I thought I'd do one that is very much around project managers and what they would look for in a book like Just Do This, and some of the points that maybe go into a little more detail. But hey, I thought I'd include this. And if you want to give this to your project management team to let them hear it, I would encourage that. I would encourage you to share this episode with them. And like I said, the description will be containing some links for some of the resources in this particular episode, along with how you can interface with them. So enjoy, and we'll see you very soon.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're pulling key insights from excerpts of a book called Just Do This. It's a resource, it's designed specifically to help IT professionals, accelerate their careers, find a bit better work-life balance, and frankly, just succeed. Because IT can feel overwhelmingly complex sometimes. Our mission here is really to cut through the noise. We're taking this material and focusing it squarely through the lens of information technology project management. So what are the core concepts, the surprising facts, maybe the practical advice in here that you as an IT project manager can grab onto and use? Like today, to make your projects run smoother, manage risk better, and deliver real value.
Yeah, and this isn't just about some dry technical methodology. As the source makes pretty clear, it's actually framed by a personal story. Someone who navigated all the complexities of IT and found a repeatable path to, success. Their aim seems to be leveling the playing field, empowering others, regardless of background, whether you're just starting out or you're deep in your IT career.
Exactly. It's about getting to the heart of what actually works in IT service delivery and project execution. We're going to explore a powerful, yet kind of surprisingly simple, iterative process. By understanding its key phases and applying some specific techniques the source highlights, you can really dramatically improve project outcomes, reduce that project management stress we all know, and frankly, avoid some major headaches down the road.
Think of it like a battle-tested roadmap, really. In an industry that's often bogged down by, let's face it, overly complex processes, or maybe even worse, no real process at all, this framework offers some clarity and control.
Okay, so let's unpack this core idea. The book lays out a 4-phase iterative methodology for professional services in IT.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It takes what could be incredibly complicated and kind of boils it down into just 4 core phases. Understand, plan, change, and maintain. And the absolutely critical word here, the one the source really emphasizes, is iterative.
Iterative.
Okay. This isn't some rigid waterfall where you finish one phase perfectly and never look back. The whole idea is that each phase feeds into the next, and as you learn, as needs evolve, you cycle back.
Yeah.
You got to meet the goal of the current phase before moving on, sure, but you fully expect you might need to revisit earlier phases if something comes up.
And the source makes a pretty strong case for why simple is better, doesn't it? It contrasts this with those heavyweight methodologies that promise the world but often just add layers of meetings and effort without really improving results. Or, the other extreme, the chaos of having no methodology at all, which leads straight to burnout and people just rage quitting.
Right. And what's fascinating here is that while this specific 4-phase model gets credited to Citrix Consulting, the concept itself, the lean, multi-step, iterative process, is absolutely a leading practice across the industry. You see similar models from Microsoft, N8 Identity, others, typically falling into maybe 4 or 5 core steps, though some might stretch it out. The point isn't the exact number, really. It's finding a structure that actually drives results and makes sense in the real world of IT projects. And it's less about best practice, which can sound like there's only one perfect way.
Yeah, a bit rigid.
Exactly. It's more about leading practice. What are the most successful teams actually doing right now that gets results?
Okay. Leading practice versus best practice. Why does the source make that distinction?
Well, it's subtle, but I think it's important. Best practice can feel like a fixed template, one size fits all. Leading practice acknowledges that the landscape, especially in IT, is always changing. What's leading is what's currently most effective. It's adaptable. It's getting results now. It's about staying current and being flexible. Super important.
Got it. More dynamic, less dogmatic. Okay, let's jump into the phases then, starting with understand. As an IT project manager, why is this phase so foundational? What's the core goal here?
So the understand phase, sometimes called assess, it's all about observation. You're digging in, looking at the current needs, the existing setup, systems, configurations, and crucially, potential risks. Your goal is to produce a documented description of that environment, and that feeds directly into the next step, plan. But the absolutely critical piece, especially for a project manager trying to avoid scope creep and, unhappy stakeholders later on, is starting with the business needs. You have to understand the why.
So it's not just about the tech specs, but the business context driving it.
Precisely, yeah. The source uses a great analogy, like trying to build a multi-story building without really understanding the blueprint, or maybe more importantly, who actually needs to use the building and what for. They tell this story, right? Email migration project, focused solely on cutting costs. Sounds okay, maybe?
On the surface, yeah.
But it failed because they completely missed the real business goal, which was enabling a mobile workforce. They didn't ask why the business needed a new email system in the first place. So it's absolutely essential to understand what the business does and why this specific project matters to their goals. And yeah, asking those clarifying questions from day one, even if it feels a bit awkward sometimes,
April.
It's just non-negotiable.
Okay, so how does the source suggest you actually gather this understanding effectively during this phase? How do you do it?
Well, it involves conducting assessments, obviously.
Yeah.
Beyond just the standard technical infrastructure checks, the source suggests something really powerful, a day in the life study.
A day in the life. Yeah.
This is where you literally observe users in their actual workflows. You watch the applications they use, the performance issues they hit, and here's the kicker. Their workarounds.
Workarounds. Why are they so important?
Oh, this is where it gets really interesting. Workarounds are like gold nuggets. Users develop them because the official process or the system, well, it isn't working for them. They need to get their job done. So these workarounds, they reveal the key pain points, the hidden inefficiencies, and often potential solutions that you might never uncover in a formal interview or survey. They show you where the system is actually failing the business.
And speaking of interviews, there is a huge human element here, right?
Yeah.
As PMs, we're constantly interacting with people, stakeholders, users.
Absolutely. And the source gives a really sharp warning here. Be mindful of how you're perceived. You really don't want to come across as like the Bobs from Office Space.
Right. The efficiency experts.
Exactly. Just poking around looking for inefficiencies or, worse, reasons to cut jobs. Users are naturally concerned about their own jobs, their families first, not always the company's bottom line in that moment.
So how you approach those conversations really matters then.
Massively, yeah. The advice is pretty clear. Start by conveying that you're there to help them be more effective, maybe less frustrated in their job. That helps build trust. And then you get genuinely valuable information. You can save the what's good for the company language for the executive briefings later. Be aware, of course, interviewees might have their own agendas, maybe pushing a specific technology or solution they like, but their input is still valuable context. Your job, as the PM or the consultant, is to ask the probing questions to validate their input and justify your recommendations later. And this is a hard lesson the author apparently learned. You absolutely cannot let the desire to be liked, alter your professional judgment or make you take shortcuts. You have to be that objective expert they hired you to be.
Okay, that's a tough but important point. Now, part of understanding the environment is also identifying risks. What does the source recommend here? And why is identifying risk so critical early on for a project manager?
Oh, early risk identification is paramount. It's everything for a PM, right? Because it lets you plan for mitigation before you're halfway through implementation and something blows up. The source outlines several ways to spot risks, study leading practices, understand what good looks like, borrow someone else's diploma, basically, leverage your mentors, your network. They've probably seen similar problems.
Yeah, don't reinvent the wheel.
Exactly. Also, listen to your instincts. That nagging feeling, investigate it. Trust your own experience too, but also challenge your assumptions and stay current with technology changes. Dedicate that, 5-10% of your week, the source suggests. As a PM, your role is to ensure your team is using these methods and, crucially, documenting what they find.
And once you've identified potential risks, how does the methodology suggest you handle them? What's the process?
Okay, so for a PM, this is absolutely key to building a solid project plan. You need to note down each risk. Then categorize it. Is it business continuity, security, operational, financial, ROI? Then quantify its potential impact. How widespread is it? What's the impact on revenue or costs? Are there external impacts, like health or safety risks? And then prioritize it. Low, medium, high. Is it strategic or tactical? This is where you separate a vague worry from a quantifiable threat. But here's a critical piece of advice from the source, especially for those assessment interviews.
Okay.
Do not discuss the risk in detail or start making recommendations right there in the moment.
Really? That feels counterintuitive. Don't you want to show you've spotted the problem right away?
It does feel that way, but it's actually a really powerful insight for managing stakeholder expectations and, frankly, maintaining control of the process. You gather the information, you confirm it later, you analyze it properly, and then you present validated findings and recommendations during the plan phase. It stops the conversation from getting sidetracked by immediate problem solving before you even fully understand the whole picture. It prevents causing unnecessary alarm or derailing the interview.
Okay, fascinating. Good tip. So moving from understand to the plan phase, once you have that documented understanding and you've identified and logged those risks, what's the focus now?
Right, so the plan phase, sometimes called design, this is where you take everything you learned and understand and you outline all the proposed changes. You document the intended process. The single most important output here, according to the source, is the written design document. This is where you define and meticulously record every key design decision.
Design decisions, you mean like why you chose a specific configuration or software version?
Exactly that. Not just what you're doing, but why you're doing it that specific way. Why this vendor? Why this resource allocation? This is a critical step that saves immense headaches later. Documenting the rationale stops those frustrating, why on earth did we do it this way? Questions popping up deep into the change phase or worse during maintenance. It reduces risk by forcing the team to think through dependencies, shared components, future needs. You use questions about expected growth, usage changes, other initiatives to really inform the plan. The source even talks about different document types, like a high-level conceptual design versus a proper validated design that's based on testing, which is highly recommended. And simple things, like using headings and automatic tables of contents, just make these documents way more usable.
Makes sense. And this plan phase is where those success criteria and the initial testing plan you hopefully identified back and understand really become actionable, right?
Yes, absolutely. They get updated, solidified, agreed upon here. The detailed testing plan gets woven directly into the change process for each success criterion you've defined. You specify exactly who is responsible for testing each piece, who provides the formal sign-off that the criteria have been met, and what the next steps are once testing is done. This gives you a clear, agreed-upon roadmap for validation, which, for a PM managing expectations and sign-offs, is absolutely essential.
Which perfectly brings us to the change phase, putting that carefully documented plan into action. Now, how does this methodology help manage risk during implementation? Because that's often the most unpredictable part for project managers, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. Risk management isn't just a planning exercise. It's paramount during implementation. The source is really clear that the entire methodology is geared towards preventing risk. Before you deploy anything significant, you absolutely must agree on who owns each task, understand all the dependencies, the knock-on effects, and review the deployment plan thoroughly. And the source gives a really strong warning here, apparently drawn from some hard-won experience. Never, ever rush or cut corners, even if you're under pressure. It always leads to problems down the line. Always.
So what are the recommended steps then for rolling out changes safely? How do you minimize that risk?
The source outlines a phased iterative testing approach. And honestly, this is a direct, powerful tool for managing deployment risk as a PM. You start small in isolated development or lab environments. And importantly, don't link dev components to production systems.
Right, keep it separate.
Totally separate. Then you move to validation testing, usually done by the IT team. After that comes a proof of concept, or PSC. This is crucial because now you're seeking formal stakeholder approval based on those agreed success criteria. And you should involve the service desk here, get them familiar early. After you get POC approval, then you do user acceptance testing, UAT, with a defined small group, maybe like 1-2% of users. And finally, only then do you implement a pre-production pilot with a slightly larger group, say 10-20% of the user population. This whole phase rollout dramatically lowers risk compared to trying some big bang release. You have multiple checkpoints to catch issues and roll back if needed before impacting the entire organization.
Okay, that step-by-step approach makes a lot of sense. Now, time estimation feels like a constant battle for PMs. Does the source offer any practical advice here?
It does, and it's very grounded, I think. It cautions against perfectionism, for one, and also that temptation to always underpromise and overdeliver excessively.
Like Scotty from Star Trek, always needing 8 hours when it only takes 1.
Exactly. While the intention might be good, it can lead to burnout for your team, or worse, seriously unreliable estimates that mess up budgets and dependencies for other teams relying on your timeline. Some practical pointers include actually tracking your time during those testing phases to get real data. Understand the risk of variation, why you might need some padding for external factors, like other projects interfering or staffing changes, things outside your direct control. And be acutely aware of the calendar holidays, vacations, conflicting deadlines for key people. The goal isn't to be some miracle worker, it's to be consistently reliable. You need to face the fear of being wrong on estimates sometimes, focus on what you actually know, and communicate variations clearly and early.
Reliability over miracles. I like that. How does the methodology ensure visibility and communication during this busy change phase? That coordination piece is huge for PMs.
Yeah, visibility and coordination are absolutely key for the PM here. Project planning needs to involve clear task assignments, obviously, but also ensure everyone on the team has visibility into what others are doing. Avoid those information silos. If life happens and someone's out unexpectedly, someone else needs to be able to step in. Using tools helps even simple ones like shared spreadsheets, or of course more complex PM software track tasks, dependencies, hours, dates, risks. Keep it updated. And regular status reporting to stakeholders and leadership is crucial. Clear, concise summaries. What we accomplished, what challenges we hit, what's the anticipated completion time now. This allows the PM to guide the process effectively and keep everyone in the loop. No surprises. And another really important piece here is creating the user and support documentation. The How W2s, maybe even short videos, based on that understanding you gained way back in the first phase. You have to communicate changes well in advance, give regular updates. Don't just assume people know what's coming. Explain the what and the why of the changes. And critically, actively listen to feedback, even when you feel like you're right at the finish line and just want to be done.
Okay. The fourth and final phase is maintain. What does this entail, and why is it relevant even if a project team is technically just handing off the solution?
Right, maintain is all about the ongoing operations after the change is live and in production. It's continuous because even as you might be starting a new understand, plan, change cycle for a different project, you still have to maintain all the systems already in place. For a project team, this phase is kind of the ultimate test. Does what you build actually work reliably? And crucially, can it be supported effectively long term? You really have to design with maintainability in mind from the start. Key aspects here include monitoring. And the source really pushes beyond just passive reactive monitoring, waiting for something to break and an alert to fire.
Which is often too late.
Exactly. It advocates for proactive systems that use baselines, established earlier, to predict potential issues and alert administrators before a critical failure happens. This proactive approach is highlighted as potentially dramatically reducing costs by preventing those expensive outages.
And this phase heavily involves BCDR and security too, right? Which are obviously huge concerns for any IT leader or PM overseeing a system deployment.
Absolutely. Business continuity and disaster recovery planning are vital. And the source emphasizes basing them on real-world outage statistics. Power failures, human error, hardware failures. These are often much bigger causes of downtime than, say, natural disasters, although you plan for those too. The plan has to account for redundancy, high availability, resiliency, stability, performance benchmarking. Defining the RPO, the recovery point objective, how much data loss is acceptable.
Which needs business input.
Critically. And the RTO, the recovery time objective. How quickly must the system be back online? Defining these for different applications is crucial. And again, for a PM, getting formal stakeholder agreement on these objectives is absolutely key. And DR plans aren't shelfware. They must be regularly updated and critically tested. You absolutely do not want to find out your DR plan doesn't work during an actual disaster. And data security and integrity also require constant vigilance. It's not just about having a good initial design. You're protecting against external threats, malware, phishing, DDoS attacks, but also internal threats like sabotage or data theft. This often involves strictly restricting access based on need to know and implementing multi-factor authentication, MFA. Using that combination of something you know, password, something you have like a token or phone app, and maybe something you are, biometrics. The source argues if you can't ensure 24/7 protection, you basically need to cycle back and rethink the design.
And operational support, specifically the service desk. They're a major component of maintain too.
Yes, hugely important. The service desk is off to the front line, right? They handle everything from minor glitches to major performance complaints, password resets, the lot. Properly enabling them with good training, the right resources, and clear documentation is crucial, especially as their operational cost is usually lower than escalating everything to senior engineers. The source highlights the importance of having really clear escalation procedures. How do issues move smoothly from level 1 support up to level 2 or engineering? And ensuring these procedures align with the business's success criteria, how quickly does this type of issue need to be resolved? And crucially, creating runbooks. These are standardized, easy-to-follow procedures for common issues and tasks. They're vital for capturing knowledge, ensuring consistency and troubleshooting, especially given the typical staff turnover you see in many service desks. While the build team provides input, it's often the service desk team that takes ownership of creating and maintaining these long-term.
Okay. So bringing it all together then, for someone listening who works in IT project management, how does weaving these concepts from just do this whole understand, plan, change, maintain cycle actually make you more effective? What are the big PM takeaways here?
Well, I think this methodology gives you a repeatable and honestly potentially stress-reducing structure. It forces you, as the PM, to focus on the right things at the right time. That emphasis on truly understanding the business why in the understand phase, that's like a superpower for PMs. It ensures your project goals are genuinely aligned with strategic objectives right from day one. That drastically reduces the risk of building the wrong thing or having endless scope creep because the requirements were misunderstood.
And the risk focus throughout seems like a direct PM tool, right?
Absolutely. Identifying, quantifying, prioritizing risks early. That helps you build more realistic schedules, more accurate budgets, and have contingency plans ready before you need them. And that counterintuitive advice we talked about, not discussing risks or solutions in the moment during those initial assessment interviews. That's gold for a PM navigating complex stakeholder dynamics. It helps you control the message, avoid speculation, and present validated findings at the appropriate time in the plan phase.
The plan phase itself sounds crucial just for clarity and avoiding arguments later.
It really is. Documenting those design decisions, the rationale behind the technical choices, is a huge win for PMs. It locks down the plan, reduces ambiguity during execution, and gives you a clear reference point if questions or challenges arise later. It's basically building the detailed blueprint before you start framing the walls. And integrating the testing plan and success criteria right into this phase ensures everyone agrees upfront on what done actually looks like, and importantly, how you're going to prove it.
The phased testing approach and change. That seems like a direct answer to managing rollout anxiety for the whole team.
It's incredibly effective. Using those defined steps, dev, validation, post-C, UAT, pilot maybe, with defined percentages of users, it provides a concrete step-by-step way to mitigate deployment risk. For a PM, this is a practical playbook for reducing the chance of a catastrophic go-live failure. And the practical advice on time estimation, aiming for reliability over trying to be a miracle worker, that's essential for building trust and managing stakeholder expectations realistically over the long haul.
And that visibility and communication piece throughout change.
Vital for PMs, yeah. Clear task assignments, making sure the team has visibility so there's no single point of failure if someone's out. Using tools effectively to track progress and consistent status reporting, highlighting accomplishments and challenges. It keeps the PM in control and ensures stakeholders are informed, not surprised. And remembering to create that user documentation isn't just a checkbox task. It's crucial for a smooth project handover and actually empowering the people who will use and support the solution you just delivered. And finally, that maintain phase. While it might seem like it's post-project, it's actually critical for the PM to consider during planning and design. Designing a solution that can be proactively monitored, that is secured robustly, and that can be supported effectively long-term ensures your project delivers lasting value. It makes sure it doesn't just become technical debt the moment your project team walks away. Concepts like getting agreement on our Porto or ensuring runbooks can actually be created and used effectively, those are things a good PM needs to account for in the initial plan.
Okay, so this deep dive into just do this really gives us a powerful yet pretty simple 4-phase framework: understand, plan, change, maintain. And it seems specifically tailored for the realities of IT projects. It moves beyond just, executing tasks on a checklist. It forces you to truly understand the context, plan deliberately, and document those key decisions, manage the change iteratively with careful testing, and ensure ongoing maintainability and security.
Yeah, it really underscores that success in IT project management isn't solely about technical expertise or knowing how to use a Gantt chart, is it? It's fundamentally about applying a repeatable methodology, mastering communication, being acutely aware of and actively managing risk, and maintaining a relentless focus on delivering tangible, supportable value that actually aligns with core business needs.
Whether you're managing a huge infrastructure rollout, maybe a complex software development project, or even a smaller application update, these principles seem like they provide a really solid foundation. They could genuinely reduce your stress and significantly improve your project outcomes.
So, maybe as you look at your current project, or you think about your next big challenge, take a step back for a second. Which phase are you really in? Have you honestly spent enough time truly understanding the business need, documenting the environment, identifying the risks? Or are you maybe rushing ahead to plan? Is your plan just a list of tasks, or does it clearly...
Yeah, applying even just a few of these key concepts, like really focusing on user workarounds in the understand phase, or rigorously documenting design decisions and plan, maybe using those phase rollouts and change, or designing specifically for proactive monitoring and maintain applying even a few, could fundamentally shift how you approach your work as an IT PM and the success you achieve. That wraps up this deep dive into Just Do This. We really hope these insights provide you with some valuable, actionable takeaways for your journey in IT project management.